Hey guys, it's Panther, and today I wanted to go over how you can dominate the top half of the map as a top jungle duo. Top and jungle are one of the most common roles to duo together. However, a lot of players are doing it wrong, and they won't really focus the top half of the map all that often. Since the majority of junglers right now are camping bot lane, and it's more of a bot lane focused meta with the ADC role being so strong, a lot of junglers are opting to just sit bot lane all game. There's also the benefit of Dragon being down in bot lane and more members being in the bot lane, so if you have a lead down there, you're more able to push your advantage. However, even though it is a bot lane focused meta at the moment, top lane does not have very many comeback mechanics, if any at all. If you get an early lead in the top lane, the only way for the enemy top laner to make a comeback is to outplay. Now, one of the most important things as a top jungle duo is make sure to leash your jungler if they are starting on the top half of the map, and make sure that they are getting a good leash. It's a fundamental part of the game, and it's not really something that you can avoid unless you're playing with something that really doesn't need a leash at all, or if you're trying to cheese. Now, the second thing you need to keep an eye out for is make sure that you are responding to your jungler if they need help at Scuttle. So we see pings go down here. My jungler says, hey, come down. And I immediately leave the lane and go to Scuttle. There's no way that somebody that is not in comms is ever going to beat me to Scuttle here. So that is the advantage that me and Elise have here on the Kale and Kindred. Kale and Kindred are not communicating with each other. They're not in voice comms. So we are able to have that advantage and have me arrive 3 seconds earlier. Now that we see that Elise was not contested in the top side of the map, it means that Kindred didn't respawn and immediately walk to her blue. It means she's walking to our blue. So we ping on our way to this blue buff. Everyone is on the same page here. We know that Kindred is over here, and we immediately collapse on it. This is not something that I can do anything about as a top laner, so I'm just freezing my wave and waiting for my jungler to get back onto the top half of the map. Junglers trade kills, so there's no threat in blue buff being stolen away, and Elise will reset into the bot side in order to clear properly. I decide to finally break the freeze that I have and force kill to base. I've had a freeze running for the last minute or two while Elise is doing things on the other half of the map, and just pretty much putting Kale in an uncomfortable position where she's not really able to CS properly the way she wants, and you can see that reflected in the CS scores. She only has 13 to my 27. I also want to blow her teleport before Dragon comes up. This is very important. This is why I chunk her out and shove her in. We want her teleport to be down so that we can secure Dragon. We know that Kindred can't reset bot again, and that she'll have to go back into the top side. We blow the second teleport here by forcing a gank bot lane, and this means there are no teleports on the map in order to contest the Dragon. So immediately my jungler says, hey, I'm gonna do the Dragon, and I say, okay, yeah, I will level your camps for you. This is something that's very, 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 very important. As you can see, these raptors are marked, but that's not the reason why I'm taking them here. My jungler has made the call that he wants to solo the Dragon. This means that he will not be able to reach these camps for another minute and a half or maybe even 2 minutes. These raptors are still level 1. These have not been cleared at all the entire game. So I'm going to clear these raptors for my jungler and start the timer on them and make sure that they are respawning as soon as possible. As you can see, my jungler is not that far ahead in CS. There's actually not really a CS lead at all there. The only advantage that he has is he's been able to tax lanes after killing people, and that's pretty much the advantage that Elise usually looks for. Usually Elises don't look to power farm. They want to get their experience from taxing lanes and getting kills and killing on invades. As a result, oftentimes her Krugs and Raptors won't be leveled. Now, I do make a mistake here in which I actually clear the Krugs after clearing the Raptors. I should have left the Krugs because she did those already. While it will level them an additional time and result in even more EXP for my jungler, she's not going to be hurting on EXP if I leave these up. They also deal a lot more damage now that they've been leveled initially, and they are a lot more tanky, so I take a little bit damage. This is a bit of a mistake, and it allows my top laner to actually get an EXP lead on me, where she normally wouldn't be able to get one. However, I will nullify that EXP lead pretty quickly here just by catching this wave. As you can see, we finished the Dragon. She's going to try for a gank bot, but they back off as soon as she starts walking down, and So instead she will clear her camps, base, and then look to push our advantage as a top jungle duo. This is where it really comes into play. As the second red buff is spawning, or the second first buff is spawning, 90% of the time, the junglers are going to be on opposite sides of the map. This is really, really important because it means that you will have jungle pressure where the enemy top laner will be entirely on their own. They will not be able to have any backup. Now that Elise's camps are down, I took Krugs and Raptors, and she took the red buff. The only thing that's left for Elise to do is just to look to dive. And it is okay for her to just tax EXP here. That's fine. So we blow the ult right away. We kill her. I drop the aggro, make sure I don't die to an extra tower shot, and that's it. I'm going to look to sustain off of the wave, and that's it. I make a mistake here. I forget that Spiralings can tank the tower, and that won't drop onto me. So I miss a few autos of DPS, but I want to give a lot of gold to my jungler because she's been missing out on a little bit of gold because I took that Raptor camp and the Krug camp. Again, she has nowhere to go. There's nowhere else to go except top. It is fine for her to just stay top and continue taking things from the Kindred. So for the next 2 or 3 minutes, we will continue to abuse this Kayle. We will not let her even walk into the lane. I'm going to set up a proxy, and if Kindred comes to contest the Elise, then I will be able to get there and help Elise. And if Kayle decides to try and walk to the lane, then Elise will help me. This is something that will not be able to be broken unless Lissandra comes top. Instead, they decide that they want to dive bot lane. Diving bot isn't exactly a very good choice for them because, first of all, our bot lane can still farm even though they are formatting bot. Like, diving bot will not prevent them from just walking back to the lane and continuing to farm. What we're doing to the Kayle here is completely denying her from any farm in EXP. It's much better than a dive. We blow her flash, and that pretty much is the nail in the coffin. Kayle is not allowed to do anything for the next 2, 3, maybe even 4 minutes. She's not allowed to play the game until Kindred decides to come top. As you can see, we still have a gold lead, even though we are even in kills. And that gold lead will drop as soon as first tower falls, but we'll gain it back by the time we take our tower in response. So it's not something we're all too worried about. I walk down to my jungler because she's being collapsed on, and then we just both walk back to the tower together and we finish it off. So I'd like to show you just how much gold and EXP I have on this Kayle now. As you can see, I'm 2 levels up, but when we take a look at the CS, I actually have a 50 CS lead. Now that is insane. The amount of gold that equates to is close to half an item. My jungler also has a lead. As you can see, the CS is pretty close. She's down about 10 CS. However, she has all of the plates from top lane, as well as similar kill participation. She also has a dragon that she soloed, which is 100 gold. And we surpassed the enemy jungler in kill participation here. We want to do the dragon immediately on spawn. This will be even more golden EXP for my jungler, and we'll really just lock in our lead. As you can see, the difference between me and Elise and Kayle and Kindred is massive. We have 40 CS in the top lane and 4 kills. We've also only died once. As you can see, I'm just running around with my jungler at this point. I've already taken my tower, and it's pretty hard to deny Kayle on the second tier tower, so instead I'm just roaming with my jungler until Kayle breaks my tower. We decide to dive again, since Kayle, again, is completely meaningless on this map. She's not doing anything. This really allows us to push our lead onto the other players and help give them a lead as well. The only threat left in the game at this point is Kalista. That's not exactly something that's going to be all too worrying for us due to the fact that we have a Talon and a Renekton, 2 champions that can just assassinate Kalista really easily. So as you can see, for the past 5 minutes or so, I've just been duo invading and duo diving with my jungler, but now it's time for me to get some solo EXP. My jungle is looking to recall, so instead of going to a lane and farming a side lane, I'm sitting on my bot lane and making sure they're not getting engaged on. This will relieve pressure that's put onto my jungler and allow her to get her recall off. I don't want to force any fights, I just want to exert pressure and make sure they can't force anything onto us. We ping our team to make sure that they know we're not looking to fight and that we're just relieving pressure for at least a base. Now that Elise is getting her base off, I can walk back to my lane and continue to try and keep my lead. The next objective on the map is Rift Herald, so we're going to want to look to prep that. If there's ever a point where they don't have enough pressure to really punish us doing Rift Herald, then that is a very good time to do the Rift. We want to sweep everything and deny vision here. So we just sit with our jungler and make sure we're sweeping things and wait for the sweeper to end, and then we can start. She drops a pink, so now we know they really can't do anything. They'd have to push through pink and all of our team in order to do it. We also know that Lissandra is bot with no TP, so it's pretty much uncontestable at this point. You'll see in this game that every objective that we do is together. Elise and I take tower together, coordinate the first dragon together even. While she's soloing it, I level her camps. We do the second dragon together, and we do the every dive together, as well as we take the Rift Herald together. Everything this game has been me and my jungler playing the entire game together. This is a very, very important thing to have as a top jungle duo. You need to be having that synergy. You need to be building that synergy. It's something that's very, very, very important. I see so many top jungle duos that just play the opposite side of the map, and while that can work, it's nowhere near as impactful as a top jungle duo that impacts the map together. Another result of me and my jungler playing together is she has quite the lead on the enemy jungler. While they're even in levels, my jungler has half an item on the enemy kindred. She's also allowed to just tax EXP off of my waves as opposed to farming. So while she's down 25 CS, we're actually able to maintain same level. Here's something very important that I do. Elise calls out that we need to be getting in position for dragon, and they actually have superior positioning on us at the time when she calls that out. I'll rewind to show you when we make this call. So here's when we realize we've made a mistake. Dragon is spawning and we're not in position to handle it. So immediately Elise calls, hey, we need to get in position to dragon. I dash over the wall, he takes the blast gun. We're trying to get there as soon as possible. We need to sweep, we need to get in position. As we can see, they already have everything set up. Now I drop the Rift Herald to exert pressure and draw them off of the dragon. I want as many people away from the dragon as possible. We get 2 people on the Rift. That's great. Now I walk over here to draw even more pressure. Kalista cannot walk until she deals with me on the flank. So I alt walk away, and by this point in time, we finish the dragon. And we also kill the jungler in the mid lane. That is the 5th objective that my jungler and I have coordinated on. Now I do end up dying here, a little bit out of position, but that is the first real mistake that we make that game. And we are able to nullify it just by pressuring the map properly as a duo. As you can see, I didn't ask my jungler to help me with the rift and crash the rift with me. My rift was just a distraction so that my jungler could get to the dragon in time. That's something that you guys need to be looking for. Find ways to pressure the map for your jungler and help your jungler do the things that they need to be doing. Now that most of the objectives are down, we've got all outside towers, Rift is down, and Dragon is down, we're going to be looking to pick and team fight. Those are the 2 main things that you can look for here. And I'll try and point out how my jungler and I play the team fight, because this is something that's also very important. I see a lot of top jungle duos that also have no synergy in a team fight at all. You want to be looking to do one of 2 things in a team fight. You either want to play same side of the fight, which means you are playing next to each other, or you want to be playing the flank, which means one of you is playing on the front line with the rest of your teammates, and one of you is playing from behind the enemy team. So basically, for the past 2 minutes or so, we've just been farming. There hasn't been any objectives. However, Baron's coming up, so we're going to want to start to look for a fight at this point. We have really good Baron vision, so I'm looking to force a fight. We see Talon on the flank here, so me and Elise decide to play same side, which means we're playing the front lines and we're running together. We are positioning together, close to each other. We're always going for the same targets. We're always focusing the same targets, unless we know that someone else can finish them off. Now, I make a massive mistake here and just die. It's a terrible play on my part. However, my team is able to get Baron. The reason that this team fight went so well for us is because their team was entirely unable to push through me and Elise. We are coordinating together and their team is not. So while Elise's cooldowns are coming back up, I can tank the aggro. And while my cooldowns are coming back up, Elise can be the main focus. Now, at this point in the game, the best way for a top jungle duo to exert pressure is for the top laner to go split push while the jungler fights with the team. However, due to my mistake earlier, I don't actually have Baron. So instead of split pushing in the top lane, I am grouping and fighting and trying to secure this dragon for us. I'm entirely okay to trade my life for a dragon, so I just dive in. Their jungler is entirely zoned off of the dragon, and it allows us to secure it. I trade my life for it, but that's entirely okay. With the remainder of our Baron, we're just going to take this and look to pressure the inhib. However, if they come, then we're just going to look to back off. We're able to finish the inhib before our Baron falls off, which is very good. And now we just want to reset. We're kind of just letting Varus do his thing here, so we're just standing in front of him. We don't really need to do anything aside from stand in front of him, so that's all we're doing here. At this point, the game's pretty much over. There isn't much else me and my jungler can do as a duo that would be any different from anyone else at this point, since we're just grouping. As you can see, this game I am playing with the same jungle duo, and I leash again. However, instead of doing Krugs and then Scuttle, we look for a level 2 gank. Level 2 ganks are extremely potent, especially if your jungler is ranged, and this is the other option as opposed to farming your Krugs or going immediately to Scuttle on the opposite half of the map. As you can see, it's a free kill. He's overextending, pushing the lane for absolutely no reason, and starting W, which is the wrong spell. He makes another mistake in teleporting back to the lane when there's a freeze, so we're going to abuse that as well. We see just from the early levels that this player doesn't really know what he's doing in the top lane, and we're going to look to abuse that as much as possible. The reason that you should never start W on Jarvan is because you do not have any safety in your level 2. My jungler flashes over the wall and kills him again. I could continue the freeze here, but since we know that he blew teleport, I want to base and get a recall off. I actually decide to cancel my base here now that I see that my jungler is invading. We know that their top laner does not have EQ combo on Jarvan at this point, so I want to look to kind of pressure him and perhaps look for a dive. He's taking a long time to return to lane though, so I'm just going to base, and my jungler hasn't been contested yet, so she should be able to finish the Gromp. Cancels my base, and at this point, my jungler says, hey, stay, and we can kill him again. He's still level 2, my jungler starts walking up, cancels his recall, but I just end up solo killing him. He helps me push out. Again, this is something that you need to be doing as top jungle a lot. Soak waves of EXP. Make sure the jungler is soaking waves of EXP. You will still be up in EXP as a top laner because you're getting so many ganks and forcing them back / killing them a bunch. So make sure that your jungler isn't falling behind in EXP because of this. So as you can see, this is a little bit different from the Elise game, where the Elise was more focused on invading the jungle in the other game. The Kindred in this game is looking to just absolutely abuse the top laner. We see that he's not very good and that he's probably the weak link on the team, so that's what we really, really want to be abusing. This player's been trading with me a lot in lane, so we're just going to look to abuse him. He's just been playing the matchup really poorly overall, and we know that we can win every 2v2. We're not afraid to play under the tower or play very aggressive, so we're just going to continue to abuse this player if he continues to let us. You'll see the same thing is being done here as in the other game. My jungler is playing on the top half of the map and invading jungle and taking plates with me, whereas their jungle is just kind of stuck. I misplay here and allow my W to go on cooldown. It would have resulted in a kill if I had not made that error. Their mid laner is handling the pressure a lot better this game than in the last game, and is the only reason that this Jarvan is even able to get any EXP. So definite props to the Katarina here. He's back top. He just wasted his TP for some reason, so we're going to dive him again. He doesn't have the reaction time to actually deal with my W, so I just walk at him with W active. I was attempting to get him to blow EQ by activating W and not autoing since it makes a sound, but he didn't react to it at all, so instead I just stunned him. So I didn't foresee him activating EQ during my stun if he didn't react to it immediately. So at this point, they open. and they're just allowing us to push. So here's a game where we are on the opposite side of the map, and instead of starting top side, my jungler starts bot side. I wanted to kind of show the differences in the first 3 or so minutes of this game where my jungler starts bot and I'm able to do whatever it is that I need to be doing in the early game. So first of all, I want to protect invade. I always play standard 5-point. It is my belief that standard 5-point is the best way to play the game. Now, if I have something like a blitz or not, or thresh a hook champ or a pick champ early, then maybe I'll invade with them if they call for that. But 99% of my games, I try to play standard 5-point, and as a top laner, you stand here in standard 5-point, or for the other side of the map, would stand here in this brush. So as you can see, my jungler starts red buff, and then is going to path immediately to top. For this reason, I just allow it to slow push. Even though I'm level 1, I have dash, so my level 1 is insanely potent for level 1. I walk back to the wave here to get level 2, and then I immediately walk back to my jungler to help him out. We know he has no flash, so I finish him off. And then my jungler wants to help me here. Instead, we see that Skullcrab hasn't been taken though, so we immediately stop hitting the wave and walk down to the scuttle. Again, we do this together. Everything we do is together. We always want to be playing the game together. That is the most important thing to be doing as a top jungle duo. As you can see, Panther is forced to base here since instead of pushing my lane out after killing him, I let it freeze. We know that he can't really do anything from this point. The lane will slow push to him, but I'll have a 2-level advantage. So I've been telling my jungler to just clear or play bot side for the past 2 minutes, since 3 minutes, because in order to do something to Pantheon, we need to set up a freeze. Pantheon is a very hard champion to dive, so until level 6, we're not even going to attempt to dive, and I just want my jungler to get priority on the bot side of the map and to make sure my bot lane is succeeding while I start a freeze. I just want to base, or stop his base here. Since I'm level 6, I can look for a dive. We see that the enemy jungler is pathing to the Scuttle Crab, so I know that I'm entirely safe to do whatever I need to do. My main goal here is to blow Pantheon's mana. If he doesn't have mana, he can't stop me from diving. At this point in the game, the jungler is available to come topside again. It's the first time that play has been available in 4 minutes. And since that play is available, it's going to be something that we're definitely going to want to do. So while the top laner is base, we do the dragon, and then I'm going to look for a recall, and as soon as dragon is done, we're going to path topside and look to dive this player. Remember, you want to take off all available counterplay from the map before you make a play. This is why doing dragon is so good for us here. Remember, playing top jungle duo, dragons are very, 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 very important. Dragons are the counterplay to diving top over and over and over again. If you take dragon off the map, there is no counterplay to that for the next 5 minutes. This is something that I never see other top jungle duos do. If you do this, the only other counterplay is to gank bot. But if your bot is especially safe, then there is no available counterplay. So here we're just prepping a dive. I don't want to push too quickly because Kindred has to take red first. So I only hit the back minions and then generate fury off the front ones. Now that red's gone, we arrive to the dive at the same exact time as the minions do. This is something that you're going to have to get a feel for. And there we go. We get both of his summoners for none of ours. And all we need is Kindred ult. Again, we're seeing a 2-level lead here. While I don't have 50 CS, I do have plates. This is something you can guarantee almost every single game as a top jungle duo. You have to learn how to play it right, but once you do, there's almost no counterplay, especially as a solo player into this. He decides to come back, so we just flash away and play it safely. We kill him, and I want to funnel even more gold into my jungler. So I share Tower First Blood with him. As you can see, the Nocturne is just desperate looking for counterplay to this. He knows he can't win the 2v2, so he's just spam ganking bot. And while it is working, bot lane's lead is nowhere near as much as ours. Dragon is coming up, so I want to look to recall here. We see the Nocturne, so I don't have to actually run down to the dragon with them. So now that we saw Nocturne, I decide to path immediately back top lane, since we know losing dragon is not a threat. However, had Nocturne not shown on one of my wards, I would have been forced to path to the dragon. The only play they have available to them at this moment is to be doing the rift, so I want to walk down to that immediately and drop a ward on it. We see the Nocturne on try, so I know that I need to shove this out as quickly as possible. I'm trying to draw pressure top lane. However, they haven't been responding to it, so I need to exert even more pressure in order for somebody to respond. So at this point, I'm just hitting the tower. I'm kind of getting desperate to get people to come top. And while I don't exactly want to take any fight, I do want to start playing in a way that will result in them coming top. This is the reason why I play so aggressive and risky on the Pantheon right there. I really want the Nocturne to show top and come fight me. At this point, we're looking to take mid tower. Taking bot first tower is not going to be an option to us for a very long time. So that's going to be an objective that we're likely not even going to look for maybe the entire game even. Again, when you're looking for an objective, remove the counterplay first. We don't immediately start dragon. First we relieve pressure on our mid lane. This results in a fight. However, we're able to immediately run to the mark and then dragon after the fight is over. I see a lot of players just force something without removing counterplay and then wonder, why do I have no towers? I've gotten every single dragon. Well, yeah, dragons are good, but if you allow them to just take an entire tower to trade for dragon, then that's not good. Ideally, you want to be removing their trade before taking the objective. Now, as a solo player, it's not exactly possible to do that always. Sometimes you're not able to stop them from taking the tower and then go to the dragon. This is where duo synergy really kicks in. One of you is able to hold the counter objective, and while the other does the main objective. So after a fight breaks out, we decide to do Baron, and I take it upon myself to try and find the jungler and kill him while my duo does the Baron with the rest of the team. This guarantees a completely safe Baron. At this point, the game is pretty much over. We just group as a team and push, and we end the game. Now, as you can see, I have a Blitzcrank this game, so instead of playing standard 5-point, I decide to invade. This is one of the very few cases that I don't play standard 5-point. I have to recall here to make sure that I get to lane on time. So even though we get a hook, I don't follow up on it. This is discipline that you need to form. Make sure that you're basing at 1 minute. I base 8 seconds late, but it won't result in any missed minions. However, it will result in missed priority. Now this game's a little bit special because my jungler doesn't actually start red buff and starts on the bot half of the map, even though he could have started red buff and level 2 top. It's also a little bit special due to the fact that we are also in call with the Katarina, which means we are effectively tri-queuing. Instead of dual queuing, we have 3 people in call. This makes our matchup even more potent. My jungler is currently looking to double scuttle the enemy jungler and immediately calls for me to come down before he even starts the scuttle. Once they commit to the fight, I help him with the scuttle, finish it, and we focus the Amumu first. This gives Katarina a reset. She makes a bit of a mistake in putting her Shumpo on cooldown, which results in not getting the kill on Nasus. However, it's not a very big deal. As you can see, all 3 of us are playing together. We're playing as a team. I tank first and just dash out. Now, I do make a mistake here. I don't see that it's electrocute Amumu, so I don't believe that I'm under any threat of dying. Had it been Aftershock, I could have just flashed away and I would have been fine, but the electrocute burst ultimately kills me. Now, normally you would want to path mid here, but I know that I want to deny Nasus as many minions as possible and guarantee my freeze. If I path mid here and then top, I won't be able to do that. So instead, I just path immediately top. I drop a ward since Mumu is most likely topside. Due to him not having flash, I'm pretty confident that I can get away from almost anything, especially since I have flash. This allows me to play as aggressive as I want. I look to all in here, but I don't quite have the damage. Every time I'm all-inning here, I'm constantly looking at the map, because if a Mumu shows up in the middle of my all-in, I need to quickly think of a way to deal with that, whether it be run away or finish the all-in and then turn on a Mumu. But I need to have that information as quickly as possible. I'm able to all-in here because he has no flash. However, he's able to sustain on the minions with his passive and resolve in his secondary tree. Minions stop his base though, and then I'm able to finish the all-in. So my jungler finishes leveling his camps, and he would look for a dragon here. However, we saw the Amumu bot side, so he decides not to. At this point, he calls the mid laner down to help him. This results in a kill on the Alistair, and they pass back into the mid lane together. Keep in mind, whenever we are going for something, we're doing it together. My jungler now wants to look to do the dragon. Their jungler is dead, so there really isn't any way for them to take this dragon from us. And again, once dragon is down, he's able to just sit in the top lane. There's no counterplay to him sitting in the top lane if dragon is gone. The only thing he can do is look to spam gank bot lane. Counter ganking top is not an option for him because they don't win the 2v2. At this point, I'm just looking to sit at 100 Fury and chunk him out whenever I can and prepare for a dive. I don't want to do the dive until my jungler is top if possible. However, if he's going to base, then I need to dive. He gets his base off, which is very inconvenient for us because it forces Vi to go mid lane instead of top. As soon as I see action happening mid lane, I immediately go there. Mumu makes the mistake of trying to clear a ward here, so my jungler in mid engage on him and kill him. Normally I would pass down, but they said they had it, so I trusted that and continued to stay top lane. My jungler wants to look to dive now, so I want to push the wave and generate Fury to prepare for that. I'm kind of just sitting still, waiting. I don't want to push the wave too quickly because he won't be ready for the dive, so I wait until he's done with Scuttle to push the wave. I am about 2 seconds late on pushing the wave, so we end up not allowing minions to tank right away. This results in 1 extra tower shot. He wants plates, and he calls me to do plates, so I come for them. Normally I would just base here and not care about taking all of the plates. That does it for today's video. We hope you learned something valuable. If you have any way we could improve these guides or any ideas for any future guides, be sure to let us know in the comment section below. Make sure to like the video and subscribe. We post new content every day done by Challenger players.